many will die, and the victor will eventually.
Good day to you, wherever you might be in Westeros. Today we're going to discuss a very important political position in the land, the Hand of the King. The Hand of the King is the chief advisor to the king and carries out several duties ranging from making laws to ensuring that justice is served when it needs to be, to commanding the armies of Westeros. What this means is that the Hand of the King is literally like the right hand of the king. On some days, when the king isn't available, the Hand acts on the king's behalf and even sits on the Iron Throne. In the Game of Thrones series, we see Lords Ned Stark and Tywin Lannister, who are the hands of the king to Kings Robert Baratheon and Joffrey Baratheon respectively, sit on the Iron Throne and act on their behalf when the king isn't available. Similarly, in the House of the Dragon series, we see Lord Otto Hightower sitting on the Iron Throne and acting on King Viserys Targaryen I's behalf when he's indisposed. The way the Hand of the King advises the king kind of sets the tone for his reign. So, as the second season of House of the Dragon is upon us, and we see Lord Otto Hightower strut about as the acting Hand of the King, first to King Viserys and later to King Aegon Targaryen II, we will do a deep dive into the 15 hands who came before him and how they served their respective kings. Before we get into this explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Lord Orys Baratheon. Lord Orys Baratheon was rumored to be the half-brother of King Aegon the Conqueror. He came to prominence during the Wars of Conquest, during which he rose to the role of the Hand of the King. Soon, it became evident that his fury and might on the battlefield were second to none. His best-known feat on the battlefield was when he slew the last known Storm King, King Argilac Durrandon. Later on, he wed the deceased Storm King's daughter, Argella, and founded the House Baratheon. As the Hand, it was his loyalty to King Aegon that was unmatched, and he grew to be the staunchest supporter and right-hand man in battles, as he played a pivotal role in many wars, such as the First Dornish War. However, this war came with its fair share of tragedy, and his hand was mutilated. From then on, he came to be known as Orys the One-Hand. While bitter over the loss of his hand, he was undeterred in his vengeance during the Second Dornish War, where he led his men during the Vulture Hunt and battled till his dying breath. In the end, it was his legacy as a fearless warrior and a loyal hand that stands as a testament to his fierceness and duty. Ours is the fury, indeed. Lord Edmund Tully. Lord Edmund Tully was the stalwart Lord of Riverrun. However, he rose to prominence in Westeros during Aegon's conquest. He was amongst the first river lords to side with King Aegon the Conqueror, and he had a good reason for this too. You see, the tyrannical king Harrenhal, best known for building Harrenhal, had exploited the nobility and small folk of the Riverlands. So, when he summoned the river lords to join him in the defense of Harrenhal when King Aegon came for them, Lord Edmund allied with King Aegon instead and was with him during the burning of Harrenhal and the end of the Hoare line. For his valor and loyalty, King Aegon rewarded him, and when Lord Orys Baratheon stepped down as the Hand of the King after the First Dornish War, King Aegon turned to him to serve as his second hand. As Hand, Lord Edmund mainly focused on integrating Riverlands into the Seven Kingdoms and strived to promote prosperity and stability during King Aegon's reign. However, true to his house's motto, family duty honor, when family duties called after his wife died during childbirth, he resigned from the role and went to be with his children in Riverrun. Lord Edmund Tully's legacy as the Hand was his loyalty towards King Aegon and his resilience as a person. Moreover, his efforts with the Riverlands solidified the region's position in the Seven Kingdoms. Lord Alton Celtigar. Lord Alton Celtigar was the third man to serve as the Hand of the King to King Aegon the Conqueror after the short tenure of Lord Edmund Tully. His term as the Hand of the King was also quite short, lasting for only 8 years, and most of his doings during this time are unknown. He was, however, the first Hand to serve until his death, and later on was replaced by Sir Osmond Strong. Sir Osmond Strong. Sir Strong took on the role of the Hand of the King from Lord Alton Celtigar. He was the fourth man to take on this role during the reign of King Aegon the Conqueror. His tenure as the Hand of the King was longer than that of his predecessors, as he served in the role for 17 long years. During his time as the Hand of the King, Sir Osmond played a pivotal role in raising the walls around King's Landing. He also came to lead campaigns in the Stepstones. Accompanied by Prince Maegor Targaryen and Lord Aethon Velaryon, he ousted the pirate king Sarkasso San. Sir Osmond Strong's tenure as the Hand of the King came to an end with his death, upon which he was replaced by Lord Alan Stokeworth. Lord Alan Stokeworth. Lord Stokeworth was named the Hand of the King by King Aegon the Conqueror. He was the fifth man to serve in this role during King Aegon's reign. He was also the last Hand of the King to the Great Conqueror, who died from a stroke at the age of 63. He was also the first Hand of the King to the Conqueror's son, Aenys Targaryen, when he claimed the Iron Throne after his father's death. During his time serving King Aegon, he and Queen Visenya Targaryen oversaw the building of the stone castle once Aegonfort was torn down. While his time as Hand to King Aegon was relatively peaceful, when King Aenys Targaryen I came to the throne after his father's death, many rebellions arose all over the Seven Kingdoms. The first of these was led by a man called Harren the Red, who claimed to be the grandson of King Harrenhal. Lord Alan personally went on a campaign against this Harren the Red and even managed to corner the rebel before he was slain. With his death in this battle, his time as the Hand came to an end and he was replaced by none other than Prince Maegor Targaryen by King Aenys. Prince Maegor Targaryen. The first prince to serve as the Hand of the King, Prince Maegor Targaryen held the office for only 2 years. Now, Prince Maegor was the son of King Aegon the Conqueror and Queen Visenya Targaryen. King Aenys was Prince Maegor's half-brother and named him as his hand as a reward for crushing the rebellions against kingship. Prince Maegor's time as the Hand of the King was similar to when he would become king later, brutal and effective. In fact, his tenure as the Hand can be said to be a small peek into what was to come during his reign as the king. His time as the Hand came quickly to an end when he did something very impulsive and unthinkable that damaged his standing and his relationship with King Aenys forever. You see, Prince Maegor was first married to Cerys Hightower. However, she bore him no children, even after 14 years of marriage. He declared her barren and said that he would take another wife, Lady Alis Harroway. As the Faith of the Seven didn't recognize polygamy, Prince Maegor wed Lady Alis in a Valyrian wedding ceremony. His second wedding angered many in the Seven Kingdoms and even enraged the otherwise soft-spoken King Aenys to the point that he gave Prince Maegor 2 choices. He was to either abandon his wife or go into exile. Prince Maegor chose to go into exile, and with his exile came the end of his role as the Hand of the King. Septon Myrmison. The first Septon to serve as the Hand of the King, Septon Myrmison was named by King Aenys as his hand after Prince Maegor chose to go into exile. He was the third and final man to take on this role during the reign of King Aenys. As a Septon, Myrmison was renowned amongst the members of the Faith of the Seven. Now, during King Aenys' reign, the relationship between the Iron Throne and the Faith of the Seven had become rather troubled after Prince Maegor had taken a second wife. So, the king's decision to name the Septon as his hand was done in an effort to console the members of the Faith of the Seven and bridge this gap between the two most powerful entities in the Seven Kingdoms. However, to no avail. King Aenys only managed to enrage the Faith of the Seven, as well as the Seven Kingdoms, further after he wed his heir, Prince Aegon Targaryen, to his daughter, Princess Rhaena Targaryen. Even Septon Myrmison was expelled for consenting to this incestuous relationship and performing the ceremony. Lord Lucas Harroway. Lord Harroway was the head of House Harroway and the Lord of Harrenhal during the reigns of King Aenys Targaryen I and King Maegor Targaryen I. He was personally appointed by King Maegor as his hand. Lord Lucas was loyal to King Maegor and was effective as his hand. Amongst his greatest achievements was fighting beside King Maegor during the battle beneath the God's Eye, in which King Maegor defeated his nephew, Prince Aegon, who had tried to claim the Iron Throne for himself. Lord Lucas also oversaw the governance of the realm while King Maegor was busy with building the Red Keep, the castle that came to be the home to kings and also the Iron Throne. However, despite his loyalty and valor, Lord Lucas met a tragic end. You see, King Maegor had wed Lord Lucas's daughter, Lady Alis Harroway, in a wedding that had driven a wedge between him and his half-brother, King Aenys, as it was his second marriage. However, the only child that Lady Alis was able to conceive was a deformed, stillborn one. His third wife, Tyanna of Hightower, convinced King Maegor that Lady Alis had been engaging in many affairs, and Lord Lucas was personally responsible for bringing many men into her chambers in the hopes of conceiving a child. This allegation drove King Maegor to such fury that he tortured Lady Alis to her death and had given orders that Lord Lucas was to be thrown off the roof of his tower by the King's Guard. His anger didn't end with Lady Alis and Lord Lucas's deaths. Every Harroway that existed became a subject of his ire, as he hunted down and killed them all, thus ending the Harroway line itself. Lord Edwell Celtigar. Lord Celtigar was appointed as the Hand of the King by King Maegor Targaryen I after the execution of Lord Lucas Harroway. We gotta say, this dude must have been extremely brave considering what happened to the last person to have this role. As the Hand of the King, Lord Edwell ruled in the king's stead when King Maegor left with King Tyanna of Hightower to quell the Faith Militant Uprising, a militant uprising against the Faith of the Seven. However, there was a nagging problem that, like the Hand before him, even Lord Edwell had to face. You see, King Maegor still remained childless. So, Lord Edwell suggested that he take more than one wife at a time to enhance the chances of an heir. He even suggested his 2 daughters. Now, while King Maegor did heed this advice, he did not take Lord Edwell's daughters as his wives, which angered Lord Edwell, and he resigned from his position as the Hand of the King. He then returned to his home in Claw Isle. Lord Edwell wasn't done just yet, though. After King Jaehaerys Targaryen I claimed the Iron Throne, following King Maegor's death, Lord Edwell was appointed as the realm's new treasurer and also the master of coin. His role did not bring any delight as he imposed heavy taxes on the small folk to undo the damage done to the treasury by King Maegor, which led to King Jaehaerys relieving him of his duties later on. Lord Rhogar Baratheon. The second Baratheon on the list, Lord Rhogar Baratheon, was the grandson of Lord Orys Baratheon and the Hand of the King to King Jaehaerys Targaryen I. Lord Rhogar's time as the Hand was a bit more complex than the other Hands of the King we've seen thus far. Firstly, he proved his loyalty by sheltering Prince Jaehaerys and his sister, Princess Alysanne, during the tyrannical reign of King Maegor Targaryen. As the Lord of Storm's End, he rallied other Storm Lords to proclaim Jaehaerys as the rightful king. Once the Hand of the King, Lord Rhogar ruled with an iron fist and was mostly loyal and protective of King Jaehaerys. Once in a while, however, there was the odd conflict. The first one came when he wed King Jaehaerys' mother, the Dowager Queen Alyssa Velaryon, with whom he co-ruled as the Hand of the King. The next conflict came when King Jaehaerys and Princess Alysanne wed in secret against his wishes that King Jaehaerys wed Archon of Tyrosh's daughter, and Princess Alysanne wed Sir Oren Baratheon. When Lord Rhogar found out about this, he tried to annul the marriage but was forced to back down when his wife reminded him that her children had dragons should it come to war. Nevertheless, Lord Rhogar considered King Jaehaerys' incestuous marriage with Queen Alysanne an abomination and tried to undo it. His ongoing conflict with King Jaehaerys even led him to proclaim King Jaehaerys as ineffective and leave the Iron Throne to become a maester. His harsh words towards his wife led to the Queen seeking his resignation. While Lord Rhogar's relationship with King Jaehaerys had indeed become strained, his last act of loyalty came during his final years when he brought his daughter and nieces to the king's court and begged him to take them as his wards. He also warned the king that his brother, Borys Baratheon, had joined forces in the rebellion of the Vulture King. Moreover, his last act of valor came during what became known as Lord Rhogar's War. It was when he marched into the Red Mountains of Dorne to end his life in battle against the outlaws. Against all odds, he survived the war, only to die shortly thereafter. Lord Rhogar's time as the Hand was one of contrasts. While protective of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne, he had the tendency to hold grudges for long, which strained his relationship with the good king and queen. However, his grudge against them did not damage his loyalty or valor, as, in the end, it was his willingness to serve the king that ended his life. Lord Daemon Velaryon. Lord Daemon Velaryon was a significant figure during the reigns of King Maegor Targaryen I and King Jaehaerys Targaryen I. He first served as Lord Admiral and Master of Ships to both King Maegor and King Jaehaerys. Then, he was eventually raised to the position of the Hand of the King by his sister, the Dowager Queen Alyssa Velaryon. His first act of loyalty towards King Jaehaerys came when he was only a prince and began gathering forces against the tyrannical King Maegor. Lord Daemon, along with Lord Rhogar Baratheon, were amongst the first High Lords to turn against King Maegor. As the Hand of the King, it was not only his loyalty that was prized, but also his strategic thinking. He made many crucial decisions during his tenure, like using the royal fleet to prevent the elevation of Septon Matthias, a known opponent of the Targaryens, to the role of High Septon. Later on, when a mysterious ailment struck Dragonstone, killing all of Princess Rhaena Targaryen's companions who had been residing there at the time, Lord Daemon was tasked with ensuring that the disease did not spread beyond the island. His effectiveness saved many lives. While central to King Jaehaerys' reign, Lord Daemon did not serve as the Hand for long, as he resigned from his post following the death of Queen Alyssa. While Lord Daemon expressed his desire to spend the remainder of his life with his family, it was often whispered that a rivalry with Lord Manfred Redwyne, who had been appointed Master of Ships, impacted his decision to resign. Lord Miles Smallwood. Lord Miles Smallwood, the head of House Smallwood and Lord of Acorn Hall, played a notable role as the Hand of the King to King Jaehaerys Targaryen I. Even before he was appointed as the Hand of the King, he was a renowned lord, known for his prowess on the battlefield. When Lord Daemon Valerian resigned as Hand of the King, Lord Miles was chosen to succeed him. It was said that the small council chose a man with proven martial prowess as the Hand, so as to balance the otherwise bookish advisors who surrounded the king. Lord Miles's time as the Hand showcased his military-like approach toward the role. It was straightforward and effective. However, his directness didn't please anyone, and even King Jaehaerys wasn't pleased with his conduct as Hand. It quickly became evident to Lord Miles that his military approach might not do well for him as the Hand, where more subtle politicking was required. Another blow to his tenure came when his supporter, Sir William the Wasp, was slain by outlaws in the Velvet Hills. Lord Miles urged King Jaehaerys to punish Pentos for its role in the killing. However, the king declined. This incident further highlighted the differences in their approach to governance. Finally, with Lord Miles acknowledging that he was made to sit on a horse, not a cushion, he was dismissed from his position as the Hand. Septon Barth. Septon Barth is perhaps the greatest Hand of the King on this list, or maybe even ever. Born to a blacksmith, Septon Barth began his career by serving the Faith of the Seven. It was his brilliance that led him to King's Landing, where he was required to oversee the Red Keep's library. His role at the Red Keep expanded very quickly, as he soon went on to become one of King Jaehaerys Targaryen's most trusted advisors, and he was slowly raised to the position of Hand of the King. As the Hand, Septon Barth had many notable achievements to his name. He negotiated with the Iron Bank for debt reductions, which ushered in an era of financial stability and urban improvements in King's Landing, like clean water initiatives. He was instrumental in drafting a unified code of law for the realm and supported Queen Alicent's successful campaign to abolish the right to the first night, a rather barbaric custom in which, whenever small folk married, their lord held the privilege to bed the bride on the first night. Apart from being an excellent Hand, Septon Barth was also a prolific scholar and authored Dragons, Worms, and Wyverns, Their Unnatural History, which offered insight into dragon biology and history. So basically, what can be said of Septon Barth's tenure as Hand is that it was marked by service, something that was inherent to the role that many Hands before him and many after him failed to adhere to. It was for this reason that his legacy as Hand of the King endured so long after his death. Sir Ryam Redwine. Sir Ryam Redwine was a knight of great valor and fame. Before his time as the Hand of the King, he was already celebrated for his chivalry and exceptional skills in the tournaments. His talent in jousting especially was legendary, as he had many memorable displays and victories to his name. As Knight of the Kingsguard, Sir Ryam was elevated to the position of Lord Commander. Given his skills and prowess, Sir Ryam was chosen to replace Septon Barth as the Hand of the King after the latter's death. However, this might have been one of the worst decisions made under King Jaehaerys Targaryen's reign, as Sir Ryam's short tenure as the Hand was nothing short of a disaster. He went down in history as one of the least effective Hands of all time. He simply lacked the political acumen and administrative skills required for a role like Hand of the King. He was replaced by Prince Baelon Targaryen only a few months later. Regardless, he continued to serve in his role as the Kingsguard. After his death, his role was taken over by none other than Sir Criston Cole. Prince Baelon Targaryen. Now we come to the final Hand of the King before Lord Otto Hightowers. Prince Baelon Targaryen was the fourth child of King Jaehaerys Targaryen I and Queen Alysanne. Prince Baelon earned his knighthood at the age of 16 after a memorable performance in a tournament at Old Oak, during which he competed as a mystery knight called the Silver Fool. His victory, followed by his knighting by Sir Rickard Redwine, was hugely celebrated, as it was just the beginning of his exceptional career as a warrior. Later that year, Prince Baelon claimed the mighty dragon Vhagar, further showcasing his position as a formidable Targaryen prince. Until Prince Baelon, celebrated warriors and knights rarely had success as the Hand of the King, a position that was completely different from being a soldier on the battlefield. However, Prince Baelon was an exception to this rule. As the Hand of the King, Prince Baelon brought a fresh perspective and renewed vigor to the office, applying his strategic acumen and a deep understanding of Westeros' political landscape. His tenure, however, was tragically cut short. During a hunting trip, Baelon suffered from a burst belly, which led to his death after 5 days of intense suffering. Prince Baelon's death was a blow not just to the Targaryen dynasty, but also to King Jaehaerys himself, who didn't just lose a son, but also a sensible right-hand man. A celebrated figure in Westeros, his legacy lived on through his sons, King Viserys Targaryen I and Prince Daemon Targaryen. Marvelous verdict. These 15 Hands of the King who came before Lord Otto Hightower and his ambitions were all men of renown. While some excelled, others flopped pretty badly in this role. It goes on to show how the Hand of the King is required to have several things going on for him, and in many ways, it is his role that defines the tenure of the king, and in some rare cases, the queen. So, who was your favorite Hand of the King from this list? And we gotta ask, who was your least favorite? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.